Hello students, in today's lecture we will discuss about the chapter electromagnetic induction. In this chapter we will see how EMF is induced in a coil by the help of a magnetic field. To know these things we have to know the Faraday's experiment. Now let's see how Faraday concludes these things. So what he had done, he took a coil and placed it inside a magnetic field. Okay, this coil is on the plane of this board and the lines of force are perpendicular to that board. Okay, so now at first he changes the magnetic field and see there is a current through this coil. So we can get induced EMF, and from this induced EMF we will get induced current. In second case, again it took a coil and placed it inside a magnetic field. But here it doesn't change the intensity of that magnetic field. He just changed somehow the area of that coil. See, if the radius of this coil is r, after changing the area, the radius becomes r dash. Okay. Now the area is increased and the new area is a dash. And he saw that here also EMF will induced. What? EMF will induced, and thus we can get an induced current. Again, he took a magnetic field and placed a coil inside it. Now he rotates this coil around this axis. So now what will happen? Now he rotates this coil around this axis. Okay. So what will happen? We know the area vector is always perpendicular to the surface. If it took this plane, then what will be the direction of area vector? Area vector is always perpendicular to that plane. Therefore, the direction of area vector will be along this direction. Okay. Now, if this coil is rotated, then what will happen? See, at some point and at some time, the position of the coil is like that. Then the direction of area vector will be along this direction. But now the direction of lines of force is along this direction, but as the direction of lines of force is always perpendicular to the surface, therefore the direction of lines of force is perpendicular to the surface, but at this position the direction of area vector is along this direction. Therefore there will be an angle between the area vector and the lines of force. Like, see, this one is the direction of lines of force and this one is the direction of area vector. Therefore there will be an angle between them. So as the coil continues to rotate, the amount of angle will be changes at the time. Therefore angle will be changes. So now at last he concluded that, so in this case again we will find an EMF. Therefore EMF, here we will get induced EMF and then induced current. So in these three things we will see, we will always get an induced EMF. Okay. So he concluded that if anyhow we can change the value of b or the value of area or the value of theta, then there will be an induced EMF. So see one thing, if we change b or a or theta, what will happen? We know phi, that is magnetic flux, equals to BA cos theta. It can be written as B dot A. Okay. So now if we change any one of these three things, then what will happen? The value of phi, that is flux, will changes. So he concluded that if we can change the value of flux, then there will be a EMF induced in the coil, and this EMF will produce an induced current inside that coil. So this was the experiment of Faraday's. Now we will discuss about the Faraday's laws. Now let's see the Faraday's first law. So what is the Faraday's first law? Faraday's first law states that if we place a coil inside and varying magnetic field, then an EMF will induced in the coil. Okay. So now this is a simple statement of Faraday's law, that is known as first law of Faraday. So what I have saw, that if we place a coil inside an varying magnetic field, that is, if we can change the value of magnetic field with respect to time, then an EMF will induced inside the coil. Okay, this was a simple thing, but now we will see the Faraday's second law. One thing, Faraday took coil instead of a straight wire, because for a straight wire we cannot measure the value of induced EMF. See one thing, we will measure the value of induced EMF by the help of a galvanometer, but the reading of galvanometer is galvanometer can measure very small amount of current. That is why we cannot find the value of induced EMF in case of straight wire, as the resistance of a straight wire is greater than the coil. That is why we cannot measure the value of induced EMF by the help of a galvanometer in this case. That is why you took a coil. Now see the second law, Faraday's second law. So what is the Faraday's second law? Rate of change of magnetic field, rate of change of flux is directly proportional to the induced EMF. So that is, E is directly proportional to d phi by dt. It can be written also like this, phi 2 minus phi 1 by t. What is phi 2? What is phi 1? Phi 1 is the initial flux and phi 2 is the final flux. So now, by this equation, we can only find out the value of the magnitude of the induced EMF, and this induced EMF will produce some induced current. Okay, and we know there is magnitude as well as direction of a current. So by this law we cannot find out the direction of the induced EMF. That is why we need another law to find the value of direction, to find the direction of the induced current. So this law is known as Lenz law. Lenz law. What is Lenz law? What is Lenz law? See, so Lenz law states that the direction of induced EMF is such that the direction of induced EMF is such that it always opposes the change in magnetic field. So from this equation we will get E directly proportional to d phi by dt. Now E equals to k d phi by dt, where k is a proportional constant, but we will find that k is equals to 1, therefore E equals to d phi by dt. But from the Lenz law, what it states that it always opposes the change in magnetic field. Therefore there will be a negative sign in this formula to show that the direction of the induced EMF is always opposes the magnetic field. Okay, so now this is the Lenz law. Now we will solve some examples regarding Lenz law. So now let's see. There is a coil placed on the ground and current is flowing through this coil. Now a bar magnet, this is N pole, this is S pole, is falling freely. Okay. The question is, what is the acceleration of this bar magnet? Now let's see. If the bar magnet is falling, the inside of this bar magnet is here, therefore the direction of the induced EMF will be so that it can always opposes the magnetic field. Therefore an N pole repel another N pole, therefore there will be an N pole produced at this side. Okay, so now N pole repel each other, therefore the value of acceleration will less than the value of g. Therefore this is the answer. There will be four options: A equals to g, A greater than g, A less than g, and none of these. So our answer will be A less than g. Clear? Now we will discuss briefly another experiment. Okay, see, there is a coil. Okay, there is a coil and this is a bar magnet. This is N pole, this is S pole. Now the bar magnet is moves towards this direction. Okay, According to Lenz's law, the direction of induced EMF on the coil is so that it opposes the magnetic field. Here, N pole is closer of that coil, therefore another N pole will produced in that direction. Okay, and we know if N pole is produced, then the direction of current is anti-clockwise. What? Anti-clockwise. Okay, so therefore the direction of induced current will be anti-clockwise. Again, N pole, S pole. If the direction of motion of the bar magnet is along this direction, then what will happen? The bar magnet will move towards this direction, but what will be the tendency of that coil? The coil will try to attract that magnet. That is why it can opposes the change of magnetic field. Clear? That is why an N pole can attract another S pole. Therefore, the direction, this is S pole. Therefore, direction of induced EMF is clockwise direction. Clear? Now, again, we will solve another examples. See, high amount of current is flowing through this conductor. Now we have to find out the direction of the current in this coil. So now, if the direction of current along this direction, okay, what will be the direction of magnetic field through that coil? We can see the magnetic field will be perpendicular to the surface, and it is upward. Okay, but again we see what Lenz's law said, that the direction of induced EMF will be so that it can always opposes the variation of the magnetic field. Now we can see the direction of magnetic field is perpendicular to the surface and it is upward. Okay, so the tendency of that coil will be to make these lines of force to the downward direction. So if the lines of force will be downward, then what will be the direction of the current? We can apply this law. Just put your right hand over this and move these 4 fingers. We can see our thumb will be along this direction. That is why the direction of current will be, these 4 fingers will show the direction of current. So we can see the direction of current is along this direction. So this direction is clockwise direction. That is why the direction of current will be clockwise in this coil. Clear? Another example. If the direction of current is along this direction, then what will happen? The magnetic field is perpendicular to the surface and it is downward. Now the tendency of coil is to make these lines of force upward to the surface. To make upward, what will be the direction? Again we place 4 fingers. Okay, the thumb will be outward because this thumb will show the direction of lines of force. Therefore, this is direction of lines of force, and move these 4 fingers. These 4 fingers we cannot move this along this direction. So just move this finger this direction. So this will show the direction of the induced EMF. So this is anti-clock clockwise. Okay, clear these things. So this was the Lenz law, some application of Lenz law. Clear?